The fourth topic is interactions between communities of organisms. The first relationships is predation. Second is competition. Competition has two types. Interspecific, that is competition between members of the same species. If it's different species, we call it interspecific competition. For example, the trees, right? For the same species, the taller trees have the advantage of getting sunshine, right? So as time goes on, the shorter trees will die because they cannot have the sunshine. Interspecific competition is two different populations. Let's say pine trees and some small shrubs, right? That is interspecific competition. And there's this interesting theory, the competitive exclusion principle. That means two species cannot occupy the same niche at the same time. For example, the different birds, the different warblers occupy the different portion of the trees. They eat different parts of the trees, and they have different habits. They are not supposed to occupy the same niche because they will compete with each other. And as time goes on, because of the limitation of the resources, and only one species will survive. The third relationship is symbiosis. You can also call it symbiotic relationship. Okay, I will have a exercise for you to do about the coral reefs, how the algae and the coral coexist and help each other to survive. Symbiosis has three types of relationship. Parasitism, that means one creature lives in another and is only benefiting the parasite. The host is the part that suffers. And commensalism, that means they do not harm each other, such as this little fish ride with the shark, and they do not harm each other. And mutualism, this is probably the most common we see. The picture here is one bird feeding another bird's offspring, and they help each other to survive. Another good example would be the nodules of the tree. There's some bacteria living there, can fix nitrogen and provide nitrogen to the tree, and the tree has some sugars, have some waters to share with the bacteria. That's another good example of symbiosis. But if in a test I ask you what type of relationship is, I'm not asking about parasitism, commensalism, mutualism. You only need to give me predation, competition, and symbiosis. Now, I want to emphasize the keystone species. I want you to read this case study in your textbook on page 93. This is a classical case study. In a lot of environmental science courses, that's the reintroduction of the wolves back to the Yellowstone Park. I want you to read it carefully and think about it. Okay, and I will test it in Annenberg habitable planet. I hope everybody has no problem accessing those content. You need to watch all the videos for all the lessons, and that's the main resources I want you to utilize out of Annenberg. So what is keystone species? They are very influential. Okay, they influence the whole ecosystem. Just one single species impact the whole entire ecosystem. For example, the bears, the sharks, sea stars, beavers, crocodiles, and the cute wolf. I like the wolf because I like that story about Yellowstone Park. They often are predator, and they maintain the food chains and the food web. Okay, they are good They do good maintenance to the ecosystem. So when you remove those species, you suffer big disasters. So read this case study and do the exercise. That concludes my fourth topic.